Welcome to Brain Explained, where we talk about how the brain affects our daily life. This video will explain what dopamine is and how it works. Several functions, including behavior, emotion, and cognition, are regulated by dopamine. Dopamine is a type of neurotransmitter that communicates with the frontal lobe of the brain, which is connected to pleasure and reward. It helps build motivation in order for you to put forth effort in pursuit of that reward. Your brain releases a small amount of dopamine whenever you need to complete a task to encourage you to do it. Dopamine motivates you to take action, from the smallest voluntary movement to those errands you know you should do but don't really want to. Dopamine doesn't really elicit any feelings in you. Although dopamine is frequently linked to pleasure, it actually has more to do with wanting than liking. You don't actually feel good or happy when you do it. All it does is makes you want to do it again. Drugs that are illegal, like cocaine and heroin, are extremely addictive because they cause a large-scale release of dopamine. Because it feels euphoric to receive so much dopamine at once, it's common to want to seek that sensation again. Unfortunately, the drugs also make it harder for the body to produce dopamine naturally, which frequently keeps individuals caught in an addictive cycle. Dopamine is released when you engage in behaviors that your brain deems beneficial. Turns out, the brain cells that produce and release dopamine determines that for you. Dopamine release occurs automatically in your brain. You have no control over when or how it happens. In other words, a healthy brain controls its own release of dopamine. Dopamine is typically released by your brain in brief bursts, just enough to make whatever you just did feel good and make you want to do it again. Every time you engage in it, you experience a dopamine rush, which reinforces your behavior and increases your likelihood of continuing it. A perfect example would be exercising. Your brain releases small bursts of dopamine as you exercise. These brief movements encourage you to continue moving voluntarily and boost your self-esteem. You'll keep that positive feeling in mind and want to try it again. High dopamine levels influence impulse control. If your dopamine levels are too high, you might act out without giving your actions much thought. You might end up making decisions as a result of this that you later regret. Low dopamine levels decreases motivation. Dopamine deficiency generally results in a lack of motivation. In extreme cases, it may even make it difficult to get out of bed or drive yourself to eat. You may also experience extreme fatigue or sluggishness. Your dopamine levels can change over the course of your life. It's possible that your dopamine levels have decreased if you notice that something that used to excite you no longer does. An imbalance of dopamine can cause health issues such as ADHD, depression, substance use, and schizophrenia. Thanks for watching. View my channel to learn more about the brain, and don't forget to subscribe.